For question 1, I'll be talking about marginal benefit, marginal cost, as well as opportunity cost. I'll start with marginal benefit. Marginal benefit refers to the additional satisfaction or utility that a consumer receives when an additional good or service is purchased. It represents the increase in satisfaction, utility, or value that a person or entity gains from the consumption of an additional unit. This is an important concept in economics, especially in decision-making theory, where individuals and firms often make choices based on the marginal benefits and costs of their actions. An example of marginal benefit would be, if a company trains an employee, the marginal benefit would be the employee's skill set will increase. However, if the same employee goes through additional training, the marginal benefit will get lesser and lesser as said employee's skill set is already relatively high. As for marginal cost is the additional cost incurred by producing an extra unit of a good or service. It is also calculated as a change in total cost divided by the change in quantity produced. An example of marginal cost would be, if a logistics company has a scheduled delivery of 10 locations a day at a cost of $100, an additional trip would change the total cost to $120, which includes the cost of fuel, maintenance, and the worker's wage. The marginal cost of the 11th trip would be $20, which can be calculated by $120 minus $100. As the marginal cost exceeds the marginal benefit, the 11th trip should be cancelled as it does not benefit the company. As for opportunity cost refers to the highest value alternative that must be sacrificed to get something else. It represents the benefits that could have been gained by choosing the next highest value alternative instead of the original. Opportunity cost is important in economics as it is used to assess trade-offs in decision making. For example, if a man is hungry, there are two ways to satisfy his hunger. One would be teaching him how to hunt for his own food, whereas the other would be giving him food directly. If you teach the man how to hunt for food, the opportunity cost would be the immediate solution to his hunger. In the short term, giving him food directly will solve his immediate problem, while teaching him how to hunt for his own food will be more beneficial to him in the long run. As for the second question, the government in Singapore observes that there is an increased number of people attending global universities instead of the local universities because of limited resources, which leads to overcrowded classrooms, outdated facilities, and difficulty in retaining top faculty members. Students' graduation rate and test scores are also below average, and the government sees a need to attract and keep top faculties and researchers in the local universities so that they'll be able to improve the quality of their education. Based on these observations, the government hypothesizes that increasing funds for universities in Singapore will lead to the improvement in quality of education, students' life in university, and global competitiveness of other universities. The increased funds of universities could be used on things such as improving scholarship program, having more time slots for classes, investing in better facilities, as well as hiring more faculty members so that they will be able to teach more students. The government can also implement a 3-year trial period of increased funding, and during this time, data and statistics such as enrollment, graduation rate, employment rate after graduation, and global university rankings will be recorded. They can then compare the results with other global universities or universities that did not receive funding and evaluate the effectiveness of increased fundings of universities in the long run. After the trial period of 3 years, the government analyzed the data and found that universities that received increased funding had shown improvements in areas such as students' graduation rate and employment rate after graduation. This evidence supports the hypothesis that increased funding leads to a better university performance. Thus, the government may decide to allocate more funding for education in the near future. As for the third question, the inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded is known as the law of demand, and it states that if the price of a good or service goes up, the quantity demanded by consumers will generally tend to decrease. This is because higher priced goods leads to people buying less. If the price of a substitute increases, the demand for the substitute will drop, whereas the demand of the other product will increase. For example, KitKat and Snickers, which are both chocolate products. If KitKat were to increase in price, less customers will purchase KitKat and will then look for another alternative, which in this case would be Snickers. This would then cause the demand curve of Snickers to shift to the right, as more people will purchase Snickers instead. If the price of any complementary goods were to increase, the demand for both goods would decrease. For example, if the price of petrol were to increase, people would tend to drive lesser so that they would not need to pump petrol as often. People will also be less likely to purchase cars, which will lead to a decrease in demand for both products, even though the price of only one complementary product is affected.